1. All right, slope-intercept, also known as, or better known as to y'all, yes, y'all remember mx plus b?
No.
All right. So when we graph a line, remember we've talked about standard form that the line can be in. Another form that the line can be in is slope-intercept form, okay? And the reason this is handy is because it gives us exactly what it says. It gives us a slope, so there would be a number there for m. And it gives us an intercept. What intercept do you think it gives us? Whoa. It gives you the Y-intercept. So the way that clues me in that I'm in slope-intercept form is that it's solved for Y. Shay, put it that way, please. Y is by itself, it's solved for Y. It tells me slope-intercept form. The number hooked to the X is the slope. The number by itself, or the constant, is the Y-intercept, so it's where it crosses the Y-axis. Okay, it makes it easy for graphing. Because, tell me another way, bless you, to describe slope. Rise over run. Good job. I appreciate the encouragement, David. Thank you, thank you. Yeah. Rise over run. So if you think about this, let's say I had a slope of 2/3. That means from every point on my line, how do I get to the next point? Up 2 and right 3, right? 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Right. Yes, yes. All right, so quickly, let me recap this because a lot of you do get this mixed up. Yeah. When we're talking about slope, if it's positive, we go up and right, always. Okay, remember it's always in the form of a fraction, or our slope should always be in the form of a fraction. What if it's a whole number? You put it over 1. You got to make it over 1. Sorry, David. Negative is down and right still. This is where you have to really, really watch it. You are always moving right. If it's negative, it's down and right. If it's positive, it's up and right. Okay. If my slope is -2, how do I move from one point to the next?
Down and right.
Down how many, David?
2.
Right how many?
1.
And right 1, but it's not a fraction. How'd you know that?
Because it's just how it is.
If it's ever a whole number, you can add a 1 in the denominator. Thank you, CJ. Thank you.
Wait.
What if...
Why can't it go up?
Because, all right, so think about this. If this is my point, right? If I went down and left, what kind of slope does that look like to you? That's positive. It looks uphill, right?
Oh.
So if you go, think about it like this. Down and left would be like negative, negative, and 2 negatives make a positive. Okay. So I want to always go either up and right or down and right, but I want to keep right every time. Okay? All right. Shh, 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 shh. George.
Yes.
Would I go up or down? How many?
1.
Nope.
I know.
I could go up 1.5, but really more, or a little more proper would be to do what? How do you make 1.5 into a fraction?
You make it all improper fraction.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no, that's 1.
It's 1 1/2. You're exactly right. 1 1/2. You get 3 over 2. So I go up
3,
and over.
2.
Y'all got it?
Yep.
All right.
No. So basically, we make
Yeah, I was just throwing you, seeing you won't have a lot like that. Yeah. Watch this. Watch this. Watch this. 1.5, right? Math. Enter.
Wait, what?
See, y'all stopped looking. Then whenever you saw something you could use, you went, oh, wait. That's probably one of the things you will use the most on here as you get going with your calculator, at least right now. Any decimal that you have, 0.25. I know that that's 1/4, right?
Something like that.
Math, enter turns it into a fraction for you.
Oh, John.
Okay. All right. Take a look at this. Is this one in slope-intercept form?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Y equals mx plus b.
Y equals, and then, yep, it is.
Yeah.
If this is in slope-intercept form, what is the slope?
2x.
Close.
2.
Just 2. And I'm going to make it into a fraction because I need slope in a fraction, right? So 2 over 1. What is the Y-intercept here? What does that mean exactly? It's where it's on the y-axis. You're exactly right, okay? What if I asked you to graph this? Do you have enough information to graph this? Sure. Listen, if you have 1 point and you have a slope, you have enough information to graph. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to plot the y-intercept. What does that mean? Put the point there, right? 1, 2, and 3. From that point, I am going to apply the slope. What was my slope again?
2 over 1.
So I need to go
Up 1. Be up 2.
up 2 over 1. From where?
3.
From that point, I just put on the graph. Up 2 over 1. How many points do I need to graph a line?
2.
Connect them.
So you gotta go up from the point.
From the point you put on there, that's right. So you start with the y-intercept, and then you do the slope from there, and you connect the dots. That's it.
Wait, hold on.
So you go up from the y.
You go up from the y-intercept, that's right.
Okay, so basically, you see where you got. Yeah, it's 3. You go up, right?
Every point, here's the thing, here's the cool thing about slope. Remember we talked about lines have a constant difference? The rate of change is always the same.
Yes.
Every single point on this line, to get to the next one, you can go up 1, 2, and over 1 to get to the, mine's kind of off scale here, but to get to the next one. It'll get you to the next one every single time. Let's do another one. Some of us look confused. We'll just do a bunch of 2's in this one. Now, remember, if I'm in standard form, I want to graph using intercepts, right? But if I'm in slope-intercept form, so part of this as we go through these different equations of lines is you being able to interpret what the form of the equation is so that you can graph it appropriately, okay? So this form is slope-intercept, right? If it's slope-intercept, then it tells me two things. What two things does it tell me? The slope and the intercept, right? What is the slope?
Negative one half.
Negative 1/2. This one's different because it's negative. How is negative going to be different? It's going to go down and right instead of up and right. Okay? What is the y-intercept? -2. Watch your signs, okay? Plot the y-intercept. First step. Down to 2. Anybody confused by that? Now, start at that y-intercept and do your slope. Yes. So we'll go down 1 and right 2. Now, because that slope is negative, it should look like a downhill whenever I graph it, right? And it does. Let's do another one. All right, graph it. First thing I want to do is I want to look and say, oh, what form am I in? Slope-intercept form, right? mx+b. Probably the easiest form to graph in. Not a lot of algebraic type stuff, not a lot of manipulation to have to do to graph in this form. I think that's why students like it so much.
I got it.
All right, so if it's slope-intercept form, then it gives me a slope and it gives me a intercept. That's right. What's the slope? Which means what? Y. 1 is the y-intercept. All right, so tell me what I do first. That's exactly right. I'm going to plot 1. And now I need to apply the slope. What does the slope look like? Up 3. 1, 2, 3, and 4. What if the x is in the y? I'm glad you asked. What if it doesn't look like this? And what if I need the slope and the intercept? Good question, CJ. No, you're exactly right. That was my very next example to do. Let's say the question does not ask me, actually, the question says graph and then state the slope and the y-intercept. So there's two things that I can do here. I can graph in standard form. Do we all recognize that this is standard form? Why is this standard form? What's generally the easiest way to graph in standard form? Cover up, right? 3x equals 6. So x equals 2. And 2y equals 6. So y equals 3. Is that a point? Is 2, 3 a point on the line? No. What is 2 and 3? Those are intercepts, right? At 2 and at 3. Can you tell the slope from there? What is it? I know it's negative. How do you know it's negative, Shay? Looks like it's going downhill, so I already know it's going to be negative, right? From one point to another, any 2 points on the whole line, it doesn't even matter what 2 points you pick. From any 2 points on the line, how do you get from one to the other? How many do you rise and how many do you run? Or how many do you fall and how many do you run? You fall 3.
And over 3.
And you run
I mean, 2 actually.
2.
I was getting 0 after that number.
What would this equation look like in slope-intercept form? Y equals
-3/2 x minus
plus. Why is it plus 3? I'm at positive 3 on y. Now let me ask you this. If you had this equation, could you put it in slope-intercept form without graphing? How? How is slope-intercept different than standard? Here the x and the y are together on the same side. CJ, what did you say? Slope-intercept has y by itself. Can you solve that for y? What's the first thing I need to do to solve that for y? Close. Move the 3x. So now I have 2y equals negative 3x plus 6. What do I do now? You're absolutely right. Divide by 2.
Everything?
Everything. Everything. Okay? So I have y equals negative 3 divided by 2. Does that look familiar?
Yes.
What's 6 divided by 2? See what we did there? Same equation, okay?
No, because you probably got to push up
I'm ready.
A twist up my sleeve.
Nobody cares.
Graph the line. Graph the line. State the slope in the y-intercept.
Ooh.
You cannot do that.
It's horizontal. It's vertical.
Xavier said I had to twist up my sleeve.
It doesn't have a slope.
It's vertical.
All right, well, what I tell you to do first?
Graph.
Graph it. What's that look like when you graph it?
Dot.
Good job. Woo! It's a horizontal line. And on this horizontal line, I asked you to find 2 things. I asked you to find the slope and the y-intercept. There ain't no slope.
Isn't that the
Sure.
slope?
It's
0.
It's 0.
That's not a slope.
Remember when we started talking about slopes, we had 4 scenarios. Positive, negative, 0, and undefined. This one is 0. Horizontal lines have a 0 slope. What's the y-intercept? Look at this equation. If it's in slope-intercept form, it should have given us the slope. Why didn't it? mx plus b. 0 times x is what? 0. It simplifies to negative 3. It really did give us the slope. We just didn't see it. Write an equation in slope-intercept form of a line with a slope of 3/4 and a y-intercept of negative 8. Write the equation.
Alright, I got the equation.
Huh?
I got it.
All right, give it to me.
Y equals 3/4 minus.
You're right. Now graph it. Man, shoot. No. Where do I start?
Negative 8. Oh, man.
What do I do now?
Drop 3 over 4.
Up 3 over 1, 2, 3, and 4. Y'all will have graph paper and it'll be a little more accurate than mine. Mine's kind of bleh. All right, tell me what you think about slope-intercept form.